Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to the second in our Literacy Bites professional learning series on structured literacy. As you know, last week we started with an overview of structured literacy, and this week we're going to begin taking a deep dive into one of its components. So each week, a new bite will be shared as we continue to build our capacity with structured literacy in our classrooms. So let's just go back and review a tiny bit. As you recall from our first bite, structured literacy is explicit, systematic, and sequential instruction of all literacy skills from phonology to semantics and includes both oral and written language. Skills are taught directly and in a logical order, with simpler skills being mastered before more complex skills are taught. And it encompasses foundational literacy and higher level skills such as, comprehension and written expression. So we don't leave out those higher level skills. And it provides opportunities for continued practice and to review skills after they have been taught. So before we really dive into things today, we are going to take a little journey. We will use this map to get us from point A to point B. So here we go. Follow these directions. Start at the school, walk down the street, go up the next street, then turn down the other street. So let's do this by a show of hands. Who ended up at the circus? Oh, nobody raised their hand. Nobody ended up at the circus. Well, that's great. We must have given fantastic directions. Who ended up at the store? Oh, I saw a few hands go up. Who ended up at the Ferris wheel? Oh, a few more hands went up. Did anyone end up at the windmill? Quite a couple hands there. Well, let's think about this for a second. We did not all end up at the same place. So the directions really left too much up to us to infer. And this is exactly what happens when we provide instruction to students that leaves too much up for inference for them. They don't all end up in the same place. So we're going to try this again, but with a new set of directions. So here we go. Next slide. Okay. Here we go. First, let's start with the goal. Our goal is the coffee shop. Okay, so here's the directions this time. Walk out the front door of the school. So there we are. We started right here at the front door of the school. Turn right. Walk towards the circus tent. When you get to the end of the street, go around the curve and continue walking on the same street. Turn right. Here we go. At the first street you come to. Stop at the coffee shop. Go in and get yourself your favorite caffeinated beverage. This time we all ended up at the same spot. And this is why. The directions were explicit. They started with a goal. They were clear and they were straightforward. So that leads us to today's objective for our literacy bite for today. Today, our objective is to develop an understanding of explicit instruction and how to implement it in the classroom. Okay, and we're going to do that by first discussing what explicit instruction is and why it's important. Then we'll move on to the 6 steps of explicit instruction, and you'll have some time to practice it with a partner. And then finally, we'll wrap up with a summary and some information on where you can go to learn some more about explicit instruction if you so desire. So here we go. Explicit instruction. Okay. Explicit instruction is learning that is crystal clear to a student. It is direct, it is structured, and it provides teacher modeling, followed by opportunities to practice with the teacher and also independently. A lot of us know this as the gradual release model. The great thing about it is appropriate for all settings. You can use it with the whole group, with the small group, or in one-on-one instruction. Part of the reason it is so important to provide explicit instruction is that it supports all students, especially those who think differently and ELs. They get plenty of opportunity to practice. I don't know if you recall that in our balanced literacy classroom, we had some students who just soared with the instruction we were providing, but it left quite a few behind. So now we want to make sure that we're getting all of our students by providing them with this explicit instruction in our structured literacy setting. And one of the great things about this explicit instruction is all the opportunities it provides for teachers to gather data to continue to inform instruction for the kids. So we're going to jump right off with just a direct and simple explanation of what explicit instruction is. Explicit instruction is clear, direct teaching in which the teacher models, provides guided practice and time for independent practice. I am actually going to model explicit instruction for you. I'm going to provide you with some guided practice with me. Then you're going to go ahead and do some independent practice on your own of explicit instruction. So let's just jump right in. For this particular part of the program or for my presentation, you will take on the role of the student and I'm going to be the teacher. So I'm going to walk you through these steps as if you were my student sitting right in front of me. So please join in with me whenever that's appropriate. And as would logically make sense, because you know, explicit instruction is logical as a part of structural literacy and follows a sequence of steps. We're going to start with step 1. So here we go. I'm going to be the teacher, you're my students. So here we go. Remember, friends, the last time we met, we learned how to use letters to blend together 2 sounds to make a word. Well, now we're going to move on to our next exciting step in reading words. So this is where I state the objective for the students. Today, we will blend 3 sounds together to read CVC, or remember what we call those, consonant, vowel, consonant words. So the next step is I'm going to break this task down into chunks for the kids. All right, friends, remember, first I'm going to read each sound, then we're going to blend them together. Okay, and then I move on. Now that I've broken the chunks of information down for the kids, I'm going to model with clear explanations. So here I go. So listen as I first say the sounds, being careful not to stop between the sounds. At. Next, I'm going to slide them together more quickly. Cat, cat. And I have the word cats. So the great thing about here, now I'm taking you guys, you're not the kids anymore. You're my students again, but in a different way. Verbalizing the thinking goes quite nicely with providing the clear, explicit instructions. When you verbalize your thinking, they get to get a picture of what goes on inside of a good reader's head when they're doing something. So again, I told them that I'm looking at each letter, then saying its sound. Then I slide them together quickly to make a word. So those steps 3 and 4 really do tie together very nicely. So now that I've showed that to the kids, I say, all right, friends, now I'm going to give you a chance to practice. Let's try one of these together. All right, here we go. Remember, first thing we're going to do is say each sound, being sure not to stop between the sounds. App. Ab. Oh wait, friends, I hear a lot of our friends saying ab, ab. B says b. This is a P. P says p. So remember, P says p. Everyone repeat that for me. P says p. Okay, now let's try again. Let's read each sound, then we'll blend them together. Tap. Tap. Excellent. Read that word one more time. Tap. Excellent. So teachers, I just want you to take note that I sneaked in some of that immediate and corrective feedback that you have to provide during explicit instruction. It's in there right there as you're working with your kids. So I would do a few more together with the kids, and then I would move on to the stage where the students are going to try on their own. So I've got to provide opportunities for practice. That's my last step in my 6 steps of explicit instruction. So now I say, okay, try this one on your own. And I want you guys to notice something. I put a nonsense word up there. I want to make sure that these kids are using the strategy I just taught them rather than having some words they've already orthographically mapped, so they're just automatically reading them. So they're going to try it on their own, and I'm going to walk around the room and I listen. As I walk around, I hear plenty of children saying as, gas. But as I'm walking around, I notice a couple of friends that are saying gas. So I'm going to individually provide corrective feedback to those students to remind them that Z says Z, and we use the sound of that letter. I'll have them repeat Z says Z. I'll have them reblend the word to make that CVC word. And then after I walked around and done that, I'll let the kids know, fantastic friends, we have met our objective for the day. I have left some work for you back at your seats where you're going to read a story that gives you plenty of opportunity to practice this new skill. So it's loaded with CVC words for you to blend, and you'll get to read that story and draw a picture to go with it. And then there we go, friends. I just did it. I showed you all of the steps we go through to provide explicit instruction for our kids. But just like within this, I provided you with the opportunity to be the student and showed you how it would look. I just actually technically used the same strategy with you. I provided you with explicit instruction. I told you what our objective was. I walked through the steps. I modeled my thinking. I provided corrective feedback. But now you guys get to be just like the kids, and you're going to have your opportunity to practice on your own. So here's what we're going to do for our next step, your practice opportunity. Okay, so it is your turn. Find a partner, someone sitting near you. As soon as you have a partner, please give me a thumbs up so I know you're ready to go. Because I know you've been dying to know what's in that envelope that I left on your tables. Well, in it, it's got some laminated cards for you guys to keep for yourself with the 6 steps for explicit instruction listed on them. So make sure you have one of those handy and keep that in your hand while you're being the teacher. So here's how it works. One of you is going to be the purple teacher, one will be the green teacher. Okay, so the purple teacher, you're going to provide explicit instruction to your student on reading the purple words. Green teacher, you're going to do the same for the green. Don't forget to start. I am going to go back a little bit in our presentation, even though we have those cards in front of you. Don't forget that you're going to start by identifying that simple, clear objective. You're going to break the information into chunks. You're going to model with clear explanations, verbalize the thinking process, provide opportunities to practice, and give feedback. And back to the words for you so that you'll have them there and you have your little cards. So don't worry about having to flip back and forth the presentation. Okay, so I'll give you a couple minutes to work with your teacher partner, and I'm just going to walk around the room and listen a little bit. Okay, we're going to pretend like about 4 or 5 minutes passed. All right, friends, we're going to wrap things up. So I just want to do a little debriefing here with you. So first, how did that feel for you to provide explicit instruction? Did you feel comfortable? Was it something that was new for you? Or was it something you feel like you're very experienced at? Let's just have a little chalk. And then I call in a few people to share what their thoughts were and everybody. Now I want you to think of some opportunities you have in your literacy block to integrate explicit instruction. With your partner, make a plan for at least one thing you will try back in your classroom today. Again, I'd give everybody 4 or 5 minutes to chat here. We'd share a few to make sure everybody has a plan of how to use this in their classroom before they leave their literacy bite for today. And then after that, I would go ahead and say to everybody, thank you so much for your time. I want to go ahead and just review what we managed today. We did a great job. We have to remember that the best way to support students in achieving literacy success is for teachers to implement evidence-based practice for achieving reading proficiency. And one step along that path is implementing structured literacy instruction in all of our classrooms. Today was our second bite of structured literacy, with more to come in the following weeks. So on your way out, don't forget, please scan the QR code to provide feedback both on this session. I really like to know how I can improve, and also what other things you'd like to learn about when you leave today. And don't forget to take your explicit instruction cards with you to keep handy as a reference in the classroom. And again, everyone, thank you so much for your time.